Good evening, everyone. It's Tom Sydney Bushnell, aka Numbers, here from Psych.Club and from the Tom Numbers Show, both of my YouTube channels. And I've got the magnificent Gene Decode with me today for our second show together. So, Gene, how are you, sir? It's a pleasure to have you back.
Thank you, Tom. Doing well. Busy as heck, but doing well.
Excellent. Good, good. Well, I wanted to let everybody know on both my channels on Psych.Club and on the Tom Numbers Show more about your website, so people can know about that and go to it, and maybe you can give us some teasers on the website, some of the goodies that people will be able to find, and then I'm looking forward to the things that you're going to share with us today in terms of intel and information, and we'll flow, and I'll probably have some numbers that pop up, and we'll have a great discussion like we did last time. So yeah, please tell us about the website, Gene.
Oh, thank you, Tom. Appreciate that. So this is the website, genedecode.org. I'm in the deep dive section right now, and it has a front section this we call surface area. This is the deep dive section. It's $7 a month or $77 a year. To help fund the costs of this website, plus the BFS website, which you can see, plus for service website is linked here, where we have lots and lots of data. We're redoing that website. That'll actually have a completely new website where people can get questions answered by the Bless for Service team all over the world, plus a total of over 500 documents, written a lot of new documents there. Kathy, your pastor, does a closer walk with God. A lot of items in there that she's done, as you can see here. And then there's different sections. We have two new sections that we put in. I put in True Science. Just did a decode on that with a guy named Kevin, destroying the climate change myth. As you can see here, that's getting ready to launch very shortly. We've already recorded that. It'll be
just in a day's time.
Live.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be tomorrow. So that is destroys the climate change myth. Green, which isn't green or renewable. It literally, green energy uses 10 times, if you want to go into the ridiculousness of carbon footprint, it uses 10 times the amount of fossil fuel to produce green energy, and it's not renewable. The windmill blades, the solar panels don't last that long. They go into a landfill. They can't be recycled, all that stuff. So all that mining rare earths, all of that, brine solution, drying out areas, all ponds, that stuff, it's very consuming of land. It's very consuming of habitat. It's very consuming of resources, etc. So we destroyed that myth. Also, it'll be an ongoing series. We'll be doing quite a few more. We'll go into how, as at a certain parts per million CO2 goes up, it actually starts causing global cooling because the plants increase, because that's what they breathe. So there's a next one we're looking on doing is Dr. Wrightstone, who's part of the CO2 collection, his presentation in front of the government in Pennsylvania, where he goes into those kind of things. And then we also have many other sections. I just recently did a Q&A. We have one of the coordinators, Dee, does the full art of war series of classes. This has, as you can see, a lot of items up on that already. These are really phenomenal and excellent. He does an incredible job on there. Doing those. Right. Then we also have, you can see here, I've been watching various things. I've done a Sacred Nature 7, the Holy Triune of God. There's also coming up the 5 proportion God's Golden Mean that's being done. It's a redo of one I've done back on my original platform I came out in front of the world on. We have another coordinator in Germany that's doing was in the music industry for quite a long time and knows about the Satanism and all of that involved in there. So we have a series of music decodes as well. I have ongoing alien agenda and space program section in here that I do. We do envisioning. We just finished another envisioning, Q&As. I mean, there's just so much different things. We did a whole set on the pandemic, plandemic. We're doing a series, another coordinator is doing a series on planting and seeds and all of these kind of things, getting us ready for the spring. You know, how to pick your seeds, what kind of seeds, how to plant them, how to build greenhouses. I do household tips. I did one on toilets and clogging. I've done construction, so I'll go into all kinds of tips. And like, I'm getting ready to lay a ceramic floor, and you know, how in a basement. So how do you keep it from being engaged to the floor? It needs to float. So how to put and cut and put in the schluter and the expansion joints and the tiles, and you know, different types of grout. There's even an epoxy grout I did my laundry with and my shower. All kinds of different things here. We have a pampered pets section, true history and archaeology. We've also got things on world government. For example, plan to save the world via time travel, going into Trump and Tesla and all of that. The Federal Reserve is related to the Titanic. Just a lot of really incredible research. So if you go into the front end, there's also a community. We have community chats that we've done 2 yesterday, a Spanish, first cultural community chat in Spanish. And then the evening we had one Canadian community chat that's once a month. And we have several others. We have one coming up here in just a few days for the US, which will be gabbing with Gabby, one of the coordinators. So that's going to be a lot of fun. There's a community board that people can just post thoughts, feelings, emotions, ideas, go into things and talk about, you know, what's going on in their lives, ask questions, share information, that kind of thing. If you go to the, we have a donate section if people want to help. There's my PO box and how to make donations through Ko-fi. Additionally, we have, this is the front side of the website, going a little about me and the mission of the Blessed for Service team, a promo video for the website, and then how to join 7 or 77 a month. And we have a coordinator that helps people that have issues. If they want to not use a credit card, they can send a check to that postal box that I showed before, and I can give them a coupon, and there'll be when it's over here, it'll be apply button. It'll sit apply. It's kind of light green. It's hard to see. So we'll be doing a video on how to navigate getting in here and signing up and going into the website. So that's the website. Thank you, Tom.
Oh, you're welcome, Gene. It's a pleasure to look at that. And you've really piqued my interest in some of the topics. One of the first ones that popped up is so for new viewers, a lot of on my channel will know, but some that may be coming over to see Gene here and hearing the numbers for the first time. So I'm known as Tom Numbers because I do gematria, simple gematria, which is A is the first letter of the alphabet, so it equals 1. B is the second, equals 2. C 3, all the way through to Z or Z, 26th letter, etc. And I work out the numerical code of all kinds of things. But something that one of your first topics on the website was sacred nature of 7. And I looked at that and I did some numbers on it, and it comes to 215 if you do the whole phrase. And the word nature has been kind of an interesting one that I've been looking at recently, Gene, because it comes to the dove. Dove is 46. The is 33, but the dove is 79, which is nature, which is mother as well. It's atomic number for gold. And I was looking at that. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I did the full phrase, sacred nature of 7, because 7 is 65, which is the plural version of doves, which takes you from 46, add 19, which is S, the 19th letter, takes you to 65. So 7 is obviously a great divine number. And it's also 65. It's also white, the color white. You've got white dove. But doves, plural, is 65 as well. And then when I did the full phrase, sacred nature of doves, it came to 215. 215 ironically comes to a date which is 11th of September, and there's good and dark sides on that people know about, but it also says the New Jerusalem, the New Jerusalem real, which is 179 plus 36, which is real. And then I saw you talked about, which is one of my favorites, of Tesla and time travel and President Trump and all those things. But I wondered if you had any, in your research and your knowledge and experience, Gene, any experience or commentary on dove and the nature of doves and the importance of it in this reality, in this matrix that we're in. So I've been picking up a lot of these things in the last few weeks, and I'm just wondering if you have any insights onto that.
So in regards to that, there's a sacred ancient number system tied to gematria.
I love Greg Braden. Thanks, Eugene. That's amazing.
Yeah, I thought you might enjoy that one. I know you love the gematria. There's some ancient gematria for you.
It's amazing. And that phrase, I'd love to share and do a show with Greg on all of this sometime. And I don't know if you've ever done with him in the past, but maybe the three of us could together, because that phrase, God eternal within the body, I've been looking at that. I've known that for a while, and that comes to 263. But tying it in with the dove, so something I've been thinking and feeling, 107 chucked out a little gem and then didn't go on further with it about maybe 3 weeks ago. Just before, I think it was New Year's Eve, he gave it to me on a show with me and Rachel, and he just said, White Dove Society, and I was like, hang on, I was like, did you say White Dove Society? He went, yep. I was like, what? Can you tell us more? He said, not now. Anyway, me being me, I've been looking at all of this, and Dove 46, best 46. JFK was assassinated in 46. His brother Bobby, if you spell the name Bobby, is 46. Atomic number for palladium is 46. The word palladium is 89, which is virus. But the atomic number is 46, which is dove. And someone sent me I'll put it on my Telegram, but someone sent me a TV show clip from Red Dwarf, which is a BBC TV show here in the UK, kind of comedy based on science and physics and all kinds of stuff. And but Red Dwarf comes to 79, comes to the dove. But in this scene, it's like a Western. It's like a Back to the Future scene. They've gone back in time, and there's the kind of four main characters, and they're fighting these other characters, which are kind of the villainous cowboys of the West in this Matrix computer game. And they're saying they're labeled the virus, and then the other guys are trying to defeat them. And then one by one, all the other guys out of the four go, but then there's one guy left. And just at the culmination of the scene, he pulls out what appears to be two pistols, and he shoots the other three or four characters that are the virus, a few paces away from him. But what he pulls out instead are two doves. And the doves, they depict the image, and the doves neutralize the virus and, complete the game, the Matrix, and it's all over. And I'm like, that's just so powerful, because I've been getting those sorts of feelings about that. But then someone on my channel just a few days ago pointed in the comments and then sent an email with the video. And another thing with the dove, so President Trump has been saying all along, he's been saying the best is yet to come. And that's also translates in the gematria to the dove is yet to come. And there's a lot of people out there in different ways of thinking. Think about the New Jerusalem being called the dove. Again, the dove is 79. And what is the New Jerusalem? And so I don't know lots about it, but I've seen stuff out there, people just saying that it's a ship, it's a starship that will connect with the earth. But then when President Trump says the best is yet to come, the dove is yet to come, I look at that and I'm like, okay, what does that come to? And that phrase comes to 228, 228, which also, interesting enough, comes to United States of America. The United States of America comes to 261, which comes to November 22nd for Kennedy, comes to August 31st for Princess Diana, it comes to John F. Kennedy, Jr., or Jr. as in, Jr. Jr. The United States of America 261. But if you take off the word there and you take it back down to the best is yet to come, or the dove is yet to come. That's 228. And I'm thinking, so in some ways you can drop the 0 in gematria. I usually keep it open, but one always says, drop the 0. But if you drop the 0 in a date, 2028, drop the 0, it comes to 228. And the Simpsons have been sometimes have been accurate on predictions, with President Trump coming down the escalators. And there's a piece of Simpsons footage, if it's original from the Simpsons, I can't verify if it is, but there's a Simpsons cartoon clip that talks about Ivanka being president in 2028, and Ivanka Marie Trump is Ivanka Dove Trump. But 228, going back to Greg Braden and God eternal within the body, 263, that literally comes to 2028. 2028. It also comes to 2020, yes, which is 263. And when we went through this phase of 2020, I was always open and awake to certain things, but I hadn't, my level of understanding and activation really skyrocketed at the beginning of 2020, I should say, when we were going through the events of spring of 2020. And you've got the phrase 2020 vision. 20 is quantum, 20 is military, 20 is Trump's, 20 is currency, it's Superman, it's Aquarius, it's a lot of things. But if you think of 2020 vision, and even on the 24-hour clock, the military clock, you've got 2020. What time is 2020? It's 8, and it would be 8. So it's 8 at Trump again. But 2028, I'm wondering, I don't know, but it feels like maybe President Trump is telling us that the best is yet to come. But then when I found it in Greg Braden's work about 263, which I knew prior, God eternal within the body, 2028, but also 2020, yes, because it felt like 2020 felt like, okay, we'll all be done in a few months, because it just seems so clear and obvious. And now we've gone through this phase of kind of, okay, what's happening? And we're ticking along, and the rest of the world is beginning in increments, trying to catch up. But 2028, God eternal within the body. The other beautiful connection with this in the gematria is Greg Braden's name comes to 88, which is Trump, which is 2020. And we were saying that 263, God eternal within the body, is 2020 yes, or literally 2028, because the word yes is 49, and the word 8 is also 49, which comes to 263. And I was wondering about all of those things, Gene, and looking at it. And even dear Greg, and I've known his work for a while, and I've always loved listening to him. He actually looks quite dove-like and heavenly just in his demeanor, and in his appearance. But I'm just, there were some of my thoughts about it, but it's amazing. And it's so on point that you pulled up that beautiful video where Greg shares the 263 code, that God eternal within the body, within the DNA. And obviously your name is Gene, and DNA and genes, and it just goes on and on, and then it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and then it goes to, he's mentioning Hebrew, and he was mentioning and you mentioned virus, and that made me go to, and all of the interconnection with the genetic modification from that virus that they call COVID. And I know how the cabal does mirroring.
Yes.
And Kevin, that worked with me on that energy decode, is brilliant. He had come to his awareness that if you mirror COVID, it comes out to DIVOC. So then if you research that, it's really phenomenal where that goes in Hebrew. So in Hebrew, divik means a pernicious possessed soul. And we see the sudden death syndrome that they now are talking about. It means to separate, to annihilate. And you see people spinning around and getting all freaked out. And what's coming is a pernicious soul to possess a pernicious being. In other words, an evil spirit to possess their soul. For those that haven't come to the cross, they're possessed. Others don't do that. They literally go on their knees, like open their arms, take me out of this dark planet. Yeah. And so in the Hebrew, it goes to a separation, being, it's possessing their soul, it's taking it away. And all of this, it's really fascinating how that, we just had Priscilla Presley die. They're dying. I mean, This is the deep state fighting back, and people are not aware of all of what's going on, but they need to wake up,
Mm-hmm.
And so, I tried to tell them way back when, we can't undo what's done. There are protocols and things that can be done, but, I'm sure you have your own take on it from your gematria.
Yeah, it's just very sobering, all the information that you've shared,
Yeah.
Gene, and it's just, like you say, pray for
Yeah.
people.
We are in the end times. The dove comes at the end, the
Yes.
dove peace, the return of Christ. It's all the time we're in. That in the end days, knowledge will increase massively.
Yes.
Have this, we did an envisioning, like I showed on the website, where they want climate lockdowns, where people can only go 15 minutes away from their residence, and you would have essentially nothing and learn to like. It's all part of Agenda 2030. I was watching We Know, who did an amazing presentation on this, all the different items and all this. He does an incredible things, And then they're also going into, we need to protect the children, and we need to get back to true values, and we need to, for me, get out in nature, hike, backpack, rock climb, ski, those kind of things, to play with other people, tennis, sports, those kind of things. It's, sad because they bought in, getting the kids addicted to this and getting people addicted to this, so much so they're turned into mainstream media. They bought the narrative of all this that's going on in the world. They got them to believe that was something that they had to have, was good, and they embarrassed those people that didn't. Pray for them to come back and all of this, and pray for those that are leaving and all this. It's a sad time, but at the same time, it's return of the dove, return of Christ, peace on earth. The Ukraine will be coming down. I don't see how it can last to the end of the year. There's just really no way at all. It's, all right, that's tragic too. The West is sending everything they've got. They're just sending more and more, making more Ukrainian people. I mean, when we say the word Ukraine, or you say the word Tom Numbers or Gene Decode, that's means something. It has a meaning. It means who you are, what you do. So Ukraine, who the people are, what the people are like. Okay, what age group do you want to go to? Teenagers, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, late 60s. They're all dead for the men. A lot of the women, 67,000 women I know, have been sent to the front lines or ground. There's protests in Kiev. When are our sons and daughters coming home? They're not coming home because why? The West keeps throwing it. They keep throwing more and more, billions and billions. Then what happens once this comes to an end? It's going to grind to an end. The Russians, Merkel and quite a few people have said that the Helsinki Accords were nothing but a ploy to build up the Ukraine, to poke the bear. And yeah, you poke the bear. And that is the alliance. It is Jasara. It is rolling out across the world. It is coming. But in the meantime, you threw a whole people. They brainwashed them into being NAZIs and doing all this evil and all of this stuff and all of these labs and all of these doves and all of these children and all of this trafficking. But they don't have a reverse gear, the globalists. They don't have empathy. They don't have compassion. They don't even really have souls anymore. You can't do the stuff they do if you did. We're in that time. It's like we know said with Lot and Sodom and Gomorrah and all of these things. And, he destroyed the city. God destroyed the city because he couldn't find 10 people that had moral values in there. And so we're in that time again. And so Ukraine, I don't see what's going to be left. They can't trust the West to do another treaty like Helsinki. Yeah, they even admitted it was nothing but a ploy. And they're sending all these tanks and all these billions. Russia has 2,800 tanks in Ukraine, 10,000 in reserves. The U.S. can't even produce at the rate just the Euro plant does. The entire West together can't keep up with that. And the U.S. Secretary of the Navy, other admiral, and it's been stated by various think tanks too, a time is coming where we have to make a choice. We either keep the US protected or we keep throwing our military armaments at Ukraine. And what's that by? More death in Ukraine, more death. Yes, it's 10-1 Ukrainians per Russian soldier, but they have no choice. What's the choice? Allow the West to put nuclear missiles, and they've even stated and drawn out maps how they're going to take out the regime in Russia. What if you said, take out our regime, take out our government? How would we feel? And they divided up into all these different regions because it's one of the richest place on earth for resources. You got forests, you've got all kind of mining, you've got all kind of growing capacity. The people their economy has gone from 11.6% inflation at the beginning of this special military operation to 5.2 now. Ours has gone to 77% inflation. Who are the sanctions hurting? Us. It's hurting the West. They, again, the same narrative like the DIVOCCOVID. They're buying in a narrative to wipe this out, and they're wiping themselves out. It's, what 16+1 said. It's, never interfere with your enemy while they're destroying themselves. So we're watching the beginning of the end and the end of the beginning. It's all coming down. I don't think anything of Ukraine can be allowed. They'll get to Odessa to continue, and then they'll say, have Zelensky unconditionally surrender. If he doesn't, they have no choice. They'll offer probably Odessa half Russian, half Ukrainian. They won't take it. The West won't allow him to, just like he had a peace treaty made in Istanbul, and then Boris Johnson flew down there and torpedoed it, and now all these thousands and thousands of people, and it's hundreds of thousands in Ukraine, but it's still tens of thousands in Russia that their sons won't be coming home. This is the evil of this cabal that we allow to grow to this place on earth. The debt is now being paid. It's what Christ said on the cross, tetelestai. The debt is paid. The debt is being paid now. The war is being won, and it is done. It's going to be done. I don't see how they can possibly go back and allow it to continue. Poland is saying 1.3 trillion in war reparations for Germany from World War II. That's all saber rattling so that they can go in. They are the ones shipping all of the armaments to Ukraine. They got all that armament, all those people. They're bringing up their military to go take that part of Poland and say, okay, even Stephen, we got our part. And then Hungary will come in, and Belarus will come in, and Romania will come in. What will be left of Ukraine? And they had the president of, or the premier of Poland, and also Latvia went there, talking about the Lubin Triangle. What's the Lubin Triangle? Estonia, they're again saying they're going to get rid of Russia. It was Estonia, Latvia, Poland, parts of Romania, all of Belarus, parts of Russia were one huge conquering empire, really rough, terrible empire. They want to bring that back. And what's that telling the Russians? I mean, again, what if, they had the Russians had put nuclear missiles in Canada and wanted to put them in Mexico, and we're coming up through that, and we wanted drawing up pictures of the U.S. all divided up and coming in. We'll bring back this. We'll bring back that. We'll take this regime change. Take out your government. I mean, people keep thinking, listening to the narrative. Oh, Putin, Putin, Putin. Excuse me, Putin didn't do the sanctions. He's not done sanctions against us. He didn't make our fuel go. My fuel bill went from 120 to 360 in 1 month. It tripled. I'm going around the house making sure everything's off now all the time. I'm like, oh my goodness. So, that's the world we live in. But, thank you for letting me ramble, Tom.
It's great to have you on, Gene, and let it flow freely. So some of the things that you were showing earlier, maybe actually I did have okay. I've got a couple of questions. And I'm trying to think of the second one. So I'll ask the first one. So in that last video that we looked at, you showed a picture of Steve Jobs. And I'll just ask it flat out. And if you don't know or can't say, then that's fair enough. But if you've got anything you can illuminate us with, it would be great to hear. Is Steve Jobs in witness protection? Because there's a few rumors of different people going around that, some are in witness protection. And I just wonder, oh, do you have any information you can share on that with us?
No, I can't speak to that.
Okay, that's fair enough. I did have another question that was, I think, during that video, but I can't. It will come back to me. It will come back to me. Can we pull up your website again? Because I wanted to look at the sections a little bit further down where you talked about Tesla, time travel, and I think there was a President Trump section as well. All those three subjects are, I think, are all, divinely connected, hence they're next to each other in your tabs. But I was wondering if we could look at those again, because I'd love to expound further on some of that's in the site, and maybe other commentary that we can go into about Tesla and President Trump and time travel. Because another thing with it as well, so time travel, let me look at this. So I did this while we were talking at the beginning of the show. Where do we get to? Here we go. Yes. So there seems to be, so Tesla has been shown with a picture of a dove. President Trump has been shown with a picture of a dove. I don't know if John has. I've a feeling he has, but I can't recall. And as you said, the return of the dove, that happens at the end. The return of Christ. Even if you look at the phrase time travel, so time travel is 125, dark to light 125. 125 is also John Kennedy 125. And the street that Tesla lived on in Manhattan, in the New Yorker Hotel, was on 8th Avenue. And 8th Avenue comes to 125. It also, avenue is also the word language. And the word 8th, so 849, yes, with the H on the end, 8th, comes to 57, comes to Tesla. So Tesla language is also 125, which is time travel. And I did a show with Mark Atwood just a few days ago, and I was talking to him about this whole thing of the dove and the matrix and the nature of reality and the return of the dove and all the rest of it. And I said that because this is another thing. So the word frequency comes to 114 in the simple gematria. Interesting enough, simple gematria is 148, which is Donald J. Trump. Time traveler, Emmett Brown from Back to the Future, 148. Time traveler with 1 L in the American way of spelling it. So the word frequency is 114. The word history is 114. So it tends to suggest that if you change your frequency, you can somehow change your history. And hence, if you change the frequency, that would allude to the possibilities of time travel. 114 is also sovereign, which is what we all want to return to. And 114 is trump card. And also, there's a great movie, Blade Runner. And at the end of that film, there's a famous scene where Harrison Ford character Rick Decode has been saved by Rutger Hauer's character, who's a clone and basically dies, but he has some humanity and decides he knows he's going to go, but he saves Rick Decode. There's also the symbology of Christ, because there's the nail that goes through the hand in that scene. But anyway, he raises and allows Harrison Ford's character to remain. But the name Blade Runner is 114, which is frequency, which is history, which is sovereign, which is trump card. But then a dove famously flies over. So the return of the dove, the sign of the dove is there. And dove language comes to 114. And Tesla language comes to 125, which is John Kennedy, which is time travel, which is dark to light, which is 8th Avenue. But the word language is 68. Mar-a-Lago's 68. Baron, as in Baron Trump, the way he's spelt now, not Baron with one R, but two R's, not the Baron Trump time travel book series, but Baron Trump as he is now. Baron is 68, which is language, and Baron Trump is 156, which comes to 33. And Tesla lived on the 33rd floor, and I was privileged to stay in Tesla's living quarters, and next door his library room, but they were all in the kind of same suite when he lived there. So I'd be fascinated to go more in depth about time travel, about Tesla, and about President Trump, because Trump's is 107. Trump's is quantum. Trump's is atonement. Trump's is military. Trump's is Aquarius. Trump's is Superman. Trump's is Aquarius, 107. Eternal life is 107, 107. They're all the same value in the gematria. And it's interesting that you put them all together. If I remember rightly, I'm sure there was a President Trump part there that you mentioned, but definitely Tesla and time travel. And I think President Kennedy, I think the Kennedys are intrinsically linked with all of that. And the Dove connection, again, JFK in 63 was 46 years of age. 63 plus 46 comes to 109. 109 comes to the word 17. It comes to the word Zapruder. It comes to Diana Spencer. It comes to my channel on YouTube, Psych.Club. It comes to a lot of things. Bobby, President Kennedy's brother, 46. Dove, President Trump was born in 46, or so we're told. Atomic number for palladium is 46. Are we in a royal palladium? Are we in a grand divine show? Like you said, it all comes at the end. It's the dove, the return of the dove comes at the end. You talk about the return of Christ. So when President Kennedy, those events in 63, there's a picture of the book depository, and above on the building, it's got the word Hertz, and it looks like an advertisement. I don't know if it was for cars or for another brand of company that used that name back then, but Hertz is to do with frequency, trump card, Dove language 114, but Hertz is 77, which is power, but it's also the word Christ. President John Kennedy comes to 235. Baron William Trump comes to 235. William, there's two Williams, but William is 79, the Dove. You talked about Ukraine. There's good and bad on both sides of the equation with the numbers. Ukraine is 79, the Dove. But the dove comes at the end, the good dove, the return of the dove. So was there any reason that you put those together in that section, Gene? I feel there is. It looks like there is, but they're next to each other in your catalog on the website.
Yeah, so it has to do with the link of how they use time travel to save the world. The Cabal was using it to get the New World Order.
Yes.
And in this, we go through, and there's a lot of different materials regarding all the various time travel, how they did it. The book let them know about notable events in their futures, or just to say hi, and all of that. And then also there's going into Tesla and Robert Russell, who was Tesla's mentor, and he goes into.
Sorry, what was his name, Gene? Russell, what's his name?
Robert Russell.
Robert Russell.
Tesla actually, he's such a genius that Tesla said that his material should be locked away for 1,000 years because it's so beyond. He was taking elements in a tube, changing the angular velocity and frequency, and it would just be a different element in the tube now. It didn't even transmit, it just was a different element then. And of course, this tied all, Tesla, the Project Rainbow, the Philadelphia experiment, all of this going into that. And the Eldridge, which for me on another timeline was the Underwood. And then the Montauk series goes into this as well with Preston Nichols, Peter Moon. Sometimes it's a 3-book series on some timelines. Sometimes it's a 4-book series. Sometimes it's a 5-book series. That ties into mind control, Mark Ultra stuff. And, Walter Russell, there's the name, device to lock his materials Tesla said to lock his materials in the Smithsonian because humanity wasn't ready for them. They're so far advanced. He was an incredible genius, a polymath, brilliant beyond, he said that, let me go back there if I can. It's moving. I didn't realize it's moving. Yeah, let me freeze this. So, concept of light, matter, energy, and complete magnetism, simple yet complete, consistent work of cosmogony, which will enable future scientists to visualize the universe as a unified whole and will open the door to the new age of transmutation. Walter Russell, that was Tesla's mentor. He used magnetic fields and hydrogen production, dual polarity control, and got 0-point energy, and as well as changed one element from another. He got a whole new chart of the elements, a real chart that's based on frequency and angular momentum. In other words, vibration. When you think of creation, you think of
Walter is 79 again, the Dove, and Russell is 106, red pilling. Walter Russell adding together is 185. Donald John Trump, Book of Revelation, the Silver Reset. Interesting.
Yeah, and this some of this wave geometry, showing frequency and octave wave paintings and all kinds of things. The universe is what we think, light. So
also as well, it's interesting, Gene, is 0-point energy comes to point is 74 gematria and energy 74. We add those together as 148, simple gematria 148, time traveler, Donald J. Trump. But 0 is 64, which is Tenet movie, Israel. But yeah, those together, 0-point energy, that's 212. And interestingly enough, 212 is the phone number in New York, in Manhattan. That's the prefix 212. So that would be the phone number, if you wanted to call the Tesla hotel, it would be 212, 0-point energy. That frequency stuff is amazing. How can we, I see things on YouTube about the 432 hertz, but is there a way to, is there a program, maybe, I don't know if it's out there, is there a software or that you could maybe run, say, one of your favorite pieces of popular music, and you put it into the machine and it will come out and play at 432? Is there any software like that can change that?
Buy online that do exactly that.
Say that again.
Change your music. Yeah, there is. You can buy converters online that change your music to 432.
Wow. Okay. Oh, nice. I need to do that. That'd be awesome. I wonder if there's an Apple version where you could do all your playlists and it's just like the 432 version. They probably won't yet, but okay, that's really cool. 432. Where's 432 hertz come to? 432. How do they do that then? How do they adjust it from four? I'm not a musician per se. I mean, I love and appreciate music, but how do they change? Like if you and me are in a band, if we're in a folk band and we're just playing on the violin and a few drums, would that naturally be in the resonance in the frequency of 432? But is it to get changed?
No, it's all two. So it takes the entire everything you're listening to and it drops the frequency down. That's all it does. It's a frequency converter. So you can drop it or raise it. It's like a lot of studio production is what this is. They can take anybody now and make them sound fantastic. Okay. They have all these converters, filtering systems that filter out certain frequencies, convert certain frequencies. They can make literally, they even have them you can put them on your throat where they have little tiny things where you can't even see it. Can even go underneath a mask to make somebody sound like somebody else.
Huh.
So right. People in could be somebody just for example, they could take somebody that we think is Joe Biden. It could be an actor in a mask, and he could have a totally different voice, but it would sound like Joe Biden. Just a possibility that they can do.
Maybe that's going on, yeah. So when we talk, so in the natural world, it's only when they record it that they adjusted it from the 432 to 440. There's not other things that, if we're just conversing in person, not electronically right now. Or if I, you talk to someone down the road, or I do, or we hear a bird sing, or, we'll hear all of that within the 432 range. Am I correct in that thinking? Or
Well, again, you got to realize music is based, like if you have a piano or a guitar, it's tuned. It has a tune. Your voice is natural, a bird's natural. Those are all natural frequencies. They're not tuned. They're just what they are. But a band or an orchestra, like when an orchestra tunes up at the beginning, the lead violinist comes out and she plays a note. That note has been tuned to 440 since the NACI changed it to 440. It used to be 432. The frequency of A went from 432 to 440. So you saw the difference in the cymatic diagram. They showed how it was very cohesive and organized. It's called cymatics, where a study of frequency, you can take it in a plate on top of a speaker, or you can also just take a bucket of water and vibrate it like you saw the bird bath, and you can put sand in there and it'll make three-dimensional objects. Like at certain frequencies, it'll literally make what looks like, we have a decode that I did on my original channel I was on that's being redone on God's golden proportion, which is phi. And in that, there's frequencies that you can vibrate water and it'll make the sand swirl such that it looks just like DNA.
wow.
And it'll go into the I Ching. It'll go in, all of the 64 hexagrams, all of that. And what those are is, if you take sticks, popsicle sticks or stir sticks, for example, if you wanted to make 64 star tetrahedrons, some of the sticks would have to be broken. So if you take opposite ends of the I Ching and you combine them, sticks, you can glue and make all those into tetrahedrons, and you wind up getting what's called the 64 tetrahedral metric, like Nassim Haramein talks about, which is literally the structure of space-time, what they call the 8-carton universe. And so that's actually how frequency, like he was saying, the word in that video we showed it near the beginning, is what created everything. And so in that goes out in a frequency, and that frequency vibrates. As you see in those patterns, there's vertical male linear lines, and then there's the spherical feminine lines that come to be together. What a two-dimensional representation of that would be what's known as the Sri Yantra, which is the 64 tetrahedral metric surrounded by the spheres that is what is called the flower of life. And so those two combine together to create the layout of the whole universe. Is 4 of them so far, 4 layers to that in an 8-carton, because if we have 64 tetrahedral metric, and within each, if you take the points off, you have an octahedron. So you have, an 8, like 2 pyramids, 4-sided pyramids on top of each other. And that's the structure of the whole universe in 4 layers. All the galaxies fall on the lines. And so it's literally the structure of the universe, and the word that goes into the structure, that goes into the mathematics of it, that goes into the geometry of it. It all combines together to be the divine layout of creation, including us. Our DNA literally is vibrated by frequency. It's what we are, but yet, as originally created, we were 64 strands, and now then when we came to this planet, we were down to 12, and now we're down to 2, which is as low as you can get, because you can't hold genetic material, like a ladder. You can't have rungs without 2 sidebars holding the rungs in place.
So are we going to upgrade our DNA as we progress along?
It's in process. The indigo children, which then became the crystal children, were triple helix TNA, trioxyribic, not dioxyribic. Now is pentahelix coming in, 5 strands. And they've been studying it for decades, 2 strands, 3 strands, 4 strands, 5 strands. And because it's been happening, various things they've done before, like H1N1, was to try to destroy that from happening, the Great Awakening, and nothing can stop what's coming. It's literally has to do, I went into this in the Decode on the expanding hollow earth and the great extinctions, and showed how the galaxy, the Milky Way, is laid out, and there's a field of energy called a photon belt. They call it the Masonic ring. And it crosses the entire universe, and all the solar systems pass through it every half rotation. And on that exact cycle, we have mass extinctions. And every time you go through it, you have an energy density increase for your system. It goes up 1 or 2 octaves based on where things are at the time you go in. So this time we're going from 2nd and 3rd density to 4th and 5th density. A lot of people are 2nd density. So, you know, I'm not even going to answer questions about is the earth flat or round. I know it's round. I've seen it from space. You know, there's so much. If you understand the math, and they use math all hokey smoky and don't understand math and physics and all of this. But it's actually hollow on the inside, like it did in expanding on hollow earth, with the sun inside the middle of it. And that, you know, it's a sacred geometry, just like you see on an apple. It has a core, it has the seeds in the center, and then around that you have layers of material, and then you have the outer crust, and then around that inner seed area there's a little crust too. And so you got the seeds or the sun, and then you got a little inner crust, and then you have, you know, up through the middle. If that were to continue moving that way, it's spinning, it would have gotten open at the poles, just like it is. That's why, you know, why don't they fly over the poles? Because you would do like Admiral Byrd did. You'd fly inside the earth. You know, he flew into the earth. And so, and the Agarthans took him in, and he met them and all of that. So there are Perry Reese map, for example, thousands of years old, shows Antarctica without ice at all. There is no ice wall. It's a continent that is way bigger than the United States. And the inner part of the continent is still ice-free due to all the geothermal energy, and you can go inside the earth there. And, you know, in the end of World War II, 390 huge special class submarines, they got into the homeland of Germany, found out they'd built this special class submarine, and a whole lot of stuff from a whole lot of DUMs was missing. All kinds of Victor Schauberger kind of anti-gravitic engines and Maria Orsic stuff and all of that. They moved down there and created New Schwaberland. So then Admiral Byrd went down with Operation High Jump. And before that, he circumnavigated the whole thing. A guy recently sailed around it with a boat. If the earth were flat, I mean, you know, for me, it's like arguing with a fire department while your house is burning down what shape their house is. You know, they're trying to put it out and you're in the way. Worrying about the shape of the earth, but I understand a lot of people are 2nd density and cannot envision it. Once you move to 3rd, you will. You know, and when you're at 5th, it's different again. So, you know, for me, I'm assembling and going already to 5th density because I'm aware of me currently 5 knees simultaneously. I'm aware of what I'm saying on 4 other timelines right now. That's part of your assembly. You don't become hive-minded with other people. You become hive-minded with other parallel Earths, parallel universes, timelines, as I've been calling them, and now people are using it, and people get confused as to what it is. It's when you make a choice, you resonate with where you are. If the way you do things becomes so drastically different, you move to a different vibration to match with you. So if you change the way, you don't necessarily create a new timeline by changing the way you do things or the choices you make or how you chose to do things or to have a website or to not have or to do podcasts or not. You did all of those choices. And there's different yous that are now doing those different things. It's like I'm on Nicholas Vignamin, and he also chose to become a lawyer. And I told him about what him over there, because I know that him over there, who's a lawyer with a blonde wife and a few kids. You know, so there's different renditions of us. And as you go from 3rd to 4th to 5th density, you become linked together with the other you so that you don't have, I wish I could have, should have had. I wonder I should have done this. I could have done that. I wonder what would have happened. My life would have been different. Yes, it'd be different. And you get to experience those as you go forth and fifth. You will know those memories. So just really fascinating. And that's, what the Gabalas have been doing with time travel. And Decode we're talking about. They were going back in time and changing the timeline to create a new timeline, a new world order, getting rid of people and all of that. If you do enough changes, yes, you're going back and changing things in the past. It's like in somewhere in time, you can actually, it's not very hard to go back in the past if you just focus really, really well, let go of the moment you're in utterly, and focus on the moment you want to be in. Most people can't visualize the future because you're not there, but you can visualize the past because you know what it was. If you can utterly focus on it, you can literally have done it on more than once on a backpack where I've gone back in time 200 years to 1800s. One of them was way up in the Colorado Rockies and the Waimanooch, and I was talking to a student of mine, and we went back to the year 1867, and two guys on horseback with all brand new Civil War like gear went by, brand spanking new stuff. I mean, just from a trading post. They obviously just, Civil War was over. They sold their properties down there because the carpetbaggers come in, took their money, came out west to do hunt and mine or whatever. And a lot of them did that, came up in the Rockies to hunt grizzly and all of that. Grizzlies in the Colorado Rockies are gone, Colorado, Wyoming for a very long time. Starting to come back from Canada a bit now, but so my student was kind of concerned about grizzlies. I said, no, there's no grizzlies. And we were in pouring rain, and then he started, I said, not since 1860s, 1867. I started describing what, why they came out, how they came out, what they did, telling them about each piece of gear and equipment. They get rain slickers with oils and all of this, powder kegs, and the next thing, these two guys ride up with two horses, or mules with behind them with carrying their stuff, and they're like, my student later goes, yeah, immediately when they rode up, there's no rain at all. I mean, it's utterly clear. The ground's wet, but we're now clear. And now on the trail in front of me, which is nowhere near the trail it had been. Trail we were on was like 3 feet, 4 feet wide. Now it's barely a trail at all. There's grizzly track, and it's filling in with water. I'm like, grizzly's close. I'm like, wow. They go, you see grizzly? No, I see track right there, though. It's filling in, it's close. So, oh, thank you. So if my student goes, that was an interesting Civil War reenactment. I go, it's not a reenactment. He goes, what do you mean? I go try to get all that gear brand new. I mean, not like museum quality. Literally, the oil slickers are so new, you can smell the oil. The powder kegs, you can still smell the oils and things they use to get the wood treated, and for the oak barrels, and you can smell the black powder. It's like really new. And he's like, you mean to tell me we were in 1867? When he said we were, he then began focusing on where we came from. So suddenly we're in the pouring rain again. Not just it started raining, it hasn't stopped. The trail's wide again, no track again. I mean, it's just instantly. So, they've been using technology to do that, but it's not hard for a person to do it. A person can do it if you learn to focus well. And there's portals as well. I know quite a few in various parts of Wyoming, Montana, because I go backpacking a lot, where you can, there's one down in New Mexico where people have seen conquistadors come through it and ride out, or Anasazi come through it and walk by. So there's all of these portals and different things. There's another movie, Aldo and Kate and Aldo, or Kate and Leopold, where he figures out, he figures out how to use them, and those are there too.
Is there? Have you done any work on like teaching people how to focus deeply and to do that, to actually go and time travel and go back into the past?
Yeah, I've done it with a couple people. Of course, if you do it too much, you can affect change, and you could wind up going like in Back to the Future, back to a different future. Because if you change, then you don't go back to the future you came from. You go back to a different one. because you made a change in the timeline. You would have to go back prior to that change and then come back forward again to the change you made. That's what John Titor did, is he jumped back and forth, and he first made a change, went forward on that one, then he came back to prior to that, went back to where he came from.
Wow. And is it bizarre? Is it as real as is it exactly the same result? So for instance, if you were to use a time machine or looking glass, is that exactly the same thing? They do it through focus and I guess affecting the frequency and vibration, able to make the change. Is it the same? Yeah.
Yeah. The Montauk project, I think it was Duncan Cameron who could do singular focus. Again, you have to be singularly focused utterly. And it would steer the machine to have the seat, what they call the emergency seat, to go back to that moment in time. Or Project Looking Glass, you put a precept. What if we do X? Then you'll see Y, how that changes the future. You can see different changes, that different things to do. So that's what the Cabal was doing. They said, so if we do an event like 911, how does that change it? When do we do it? What if we do it this date? There's different satanic dates they could have done it, or special dates. 911 wasn't satanic, it's a special date. So they use that date to make it, to denigrate that date. In other words, they wanted to denigrate the date. So they wanted to put a negative energy on a very sacred date. Yeah. So they did to create fear and terror, to make it a different future. It changed the future because it changed the energy resonance around that date. So now everybody's focused on something else. And they changed and erased the past, the history, and altered the history so people don't know what certain thing happened on that date. They changed it to a different date. They changed what happened on that date to a satanic date and said it happened then, but it didn't. It happened September 11th.
Interesting. You mentioned 1867, Gene. If you do the numbers on that, it's 235. It's a number that were brought up earlier. President John Kennedy, which is also magic power, time travel, which is what we're talking about. There's also Baron William Trump, 235, 1867, if you spell it out. 18.
Also, one of the dates they went back to. It's a pivotal date. It's the end of the Civil War. It's a date that has to tie into what was coming with the Organic Act. They started doing all kinds of mechanizations. It's a very pivotal date in history.
So with Looking Glass, so they're able to look at it and see how things would be changed if they went back to that particular time and did those actions. So that am I right in thinking then with Looking Glass, it has the potential to run the future projection of what would happen if those changes were implemented, but it doesn't actually affect the timeline in itself. If you don't take it fully and go back into the past, you're just seeing how it would affect. So it gives you some probabilities and some options and choices, as opposed to actually directly changing the past into the future.
You can look back and see how that future would be if that was done. Then somebody can put it into that, say, if we went back and did this, what would it be like now or in the future? Or they could say, in the future, if we do this, what will it ripple out forwards beyond that? How will it change things going forward?
Okay, without making the actual physical, without changing the timeline, it's having a glimpse into the possibility of what would happen if they take those actions.
Correct.
Right. You know what? You talk about Project Looking Glass, and I'd forgotten this, but thanks for the reminder. So Project Looking Glass is 141, Reincarnation. It's actually my name, Tom Bushnell. Mark Atwood, I do shows with. If you add them together, Mark Atwood plus Tom Bushnell, 141 comes to 282, which is 88 miles per hour from Back to the Future. Transition to Greatness. President Trump did a big speech at Mar-a-Lago last November on Tuesday, November 15th, which is 282. When I met Eric Trump, I did Eric Trump and Tom numbers, and that comes to 282 as well. And I had my 88 MPH t-shirt. But Project Looking Glass, which you've reminded me of, so thank you, sir. Project is 87, which is Truth, which is Stellar, which is Junior. It's Justice. But Project Looking Glass, so Project 87 plus Looking Glass 141 comes to 228, which is the best is yet to come, which is the dove is yet to come, which is perhaps, if you drop the zero, perhaps a future point in time, 228, 2028, perhaps. It feels like it. But Project Looking Glass is 228, and I'd forgotten that. Project Looking Glass is United States of America. Maybe the United States of America is this whole, it's God's country. It was created. It was ordained of God, and it's, you know, it's getting, like President Trump says, get our country back. And it's not just people in America. It's, you know, it's all patriots and good-hearted people throughout the world. But America is an idea. It's a state of being. It's a heartfelt possibility, and which manifests into a reality. But yeah, Project Looking Glass is 228. So perhaps the United States of America itself is somehow a protocol or a creation of time travel itself. And if you do the Project Looking Glass, that's 261, which comes to November 22nd, which is Kennedy. November 22nd. Princess Diana, August 31st, 1997. 261 is also August 31st, the Project Looking Glass. Terminator 2, the film that predicts August 29th being Judgment Day, but August 29th is the same value, 261. And it's best event yet to come. So President Trump says the best is yet to come, but you can get best event yet to come, 261. The Project Looking Glass, or Project Looking Glass Magic. 261 is John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr. 261. John Fitzgerald Kennedy just comes to 261 as well. The Project Looking Glass. Wow. The United States of America, 261. United States of America could be could be Looking Glass. It was, yeah, we'll create this. It was divinely inspired, and it's been stolen and it's been returned because this is the blueprint for the rest of the earth. Wow. Thanks for.
So praise him in the hallway, and thank you, Tom, for the interview and another fantastically interesting time. And thank you for allowing me to share my website, and thank you for inviting me back on your platform.
Thanks, Gene. It's really been a pleasure and really eye-opening, as always. So thank you, and you're always welcome here. I love your mind, your research, and your work, and I know the audience do as well. And it was great to go through your website at the beginning. I'm gonna delve more into it because I've seen more of the things that I would love to delve into, and there's so much in there. So I'd encourage everyone to do that. And do you want to just say your website again, Gene, so people that tune in late can find
www.genedecode.org. Very simple. Then you can go on and join the deep dive section, and there's a lot of material going up very quickly now. We got a lot of material already there, and we're going to have a lot more coming in. So thank you for everything, Tom. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Gene. God bless you, and I hope to see you again soon. And I'm going to delve into some of the videos, some of the chapters, some of the material. Maybe there'll be further thoughts, but thank you. And then just in the comments to that last part that you showed with the lady talking about it's all a movie. I feel that it is, and I hope I'm not misunderstanding any of her message. But if it's all been scripted, then it's a divine movie. And sometimes people get upset by those statements, How do we rationalize? How do we equate? So you showed some, the people suffering with these things. How do we equate this? How do we rationalize? I'm trying to use the right words. How do we
Understand.
how do we satisfy? If it's an equation, how do we satisfy though? You've got the suffering, you've got the things going on. But I personally feel that this is just the most glorious time to be alive, and it just keeps getting better. We have, bumps and things and challenges along the way, but overall, it's just a glorious, exciting, wonderful to be here.
Yeah, it's the end of the evil, the end of the darkness, the end of the cabal, the separation of the wheat from the chaff, the end of the bloodlines of Cain. So part of the job is to do that. And those that are removed, that's gone to the cross, they don't sit there and get all freaked out and terrified. They open their arms like that young lady is doing and say, hallelujah, Father God, bring me home. Angels come, bring me home, bring me out of this dark world.
Yeah.
And other people get all freaked out and scared and terrified and all that because the dark ones are coming for them. And so that's the time we're in, you leave for this lifetime, and then there's things beyond this lifetime that go. And so it's literally, like I said, with Asti on Patriot Underground, where we know that it's all, the military's in control. It's all scripted. But at the same time, we got to let it play out, and we let it get to this point. So in that playing out, there's things that'll have to come down. The dollar will have to collapse. The quantum system will come up and replace. There'll be a bit of suffering and a bit of hardness and hard times. You can see the results of having money based on gold with what Russian economy. There's through the eyes. There's a lady in Moscow I follow that she goes into the stores and their shelves are packed. I mean, I went to the store the other day, I couldn't even get eggs. There was no eggs at all. It was like, oh my goodness. A lot of stuff I couldn't get. I'm like, their stores are packed and their inflation is going down. And that's what's going on. We're watching it, the bloodlines of Cain are being taken out. And so the intermarrying from the way back in the Garden of Eden, Cain went out, found wives. That's humanity. That's humanity. Go out and replenish here. Where'd they find his children? Find wives. Where'd he found a wife? Humanity. What was created in the Garden of Eden was the bloodlines of Cain. And so through that, now we're at the time, Moses was sent, put the people into the Holy Land to get rid of the bloodlines of Cain. They didn't get it done. So now we're getting it done. But in the meantime, because it's gone so far, there's going to be a time of tribulation, if you were, and then the time of ascension or rapture. So it's all the time we're in. I would suggest we are in World War III. We are in the time of Og and Magog. Look at the scripture, follow it, understand, look at where Ukraine is, look at what's going on in Serbia, look at what is going on with the jab, understand what you're seeing. It is the time. We are in it, not kind of, sort of, absolutely. So thank you, Tom. God bless, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Gene. Love to see you soon. And just one other tiny piece, if I can. You said about the times that we're in, and a period of tribulation. Not to put exact dates on it, but do you feel like this? How long do you see this playing out that we're currently in until we get to the return of Christ? What do you see? What do you see?
I can't do dates. Too infinite.
Okay. I feel we've got a few years left. Does that feel accurate to you? We've got a few more in the, there's a few more years in the tank.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Gene. God bless you. Thank you, sir. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Tom. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.